Hello and welcome to Note to File, a clinical research podcast.
A collection of interviews, candid commentary, and general nonsense for the clinical research community.
Check us out at notetofilepodcast.com.
And now, without further ado, on to the show.
All right, well, StreamYard's being super weird today. So, hello and welcome to another Note to File podcast. It is June 10th, 2025.
June 10th, yeah.
How's it going now that you're drinking the Kool-Aid, huh?
What?
And the orange. There it is. And there it is.
And there it is.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. That'll be fun. I think it's something I've thought about for a bit. So it'll be interesting to see. I think, Viva's done a lot of things more so in like the sponsor side of things. And they obviously played in the site space. I don't know, 5 years now? Is that when EISF came out?
Sure.
That sounds about right. But I think they're focusing and drawing more focus back to the site. So I'll be working on strategery, but specifically in the site space.
Yeah, anything good for the sites I can appreciate. And I assume that since you work for Viva, they'll be, funding this podcast. So I bought a boat.
Yeah. That's not how this works.
Well, what am I supposed to do with my boat?
Well, they have, super good valuation after you drive them off the lot. So I'm sure you could probably just sell it back for good money.
I have heard it's one of the best investments you can make.
Me too. Buy boats, invest in boats. You heard it here.
Well, prepare to see my adventures on LinkedIn as I sail across the seas in my boat.
Go to APAC?
Sure. Everywhere.
We'll take a
All
fishing
right.
and you'll be fine.
I mean, that's all I need. Cool. All right. Well, let's jump right in, shall we?
Sure.
I don't feel like we didn't get all that much today. Let me see.
I don't know. I mean, there's obviously there's so much fucking stuff going on with like the FDA and the CDC and all that, but I feel like every day it's the same thing, like same shit, different day. Like these people left, these people came back. This is delayed. This went wrong. This has escalated. Like, I mean, you just
it's really hard. It's really hard. It's really hard for me to keep up with anyway. And I feel like there's just goofy shit happening daily. So yeah, we made maybe light on some of that coverage more than we probably should be. But I feel like it's extremely hard to keep up with. At least.
And what do you even say about that though? Like that's what I would struggle with. Like you're going to be saying the same thing because it's the same thing happening, just like to different divisions and to different portions of it that's going to gut and fuck something over. So, pretty I mean, much. Insert random acronym that's having a challenge and
it's not good. I don't like it.
Pretty much kind of what it seems like.
Well, speaking of site stuff, I mean, today's kind of heavy on the site content. We really only have two
sites are important.
They are so important, aren't they?
So important.
Maybe the most important thing.
The most, ever. Yeah. That must be it.
Well, I'm, specifically interested in the recent announcement of the strategic merger, which maybe you can help me understand what that actually means, like technically, because I don't understand the difference between Circuit and Lightship. And admittedly, I don't. I think Lightship is mostly well known for their research RVs. Essentially, is that?
I think so. I mean, honestly, like I'm more familiar with Circuit, frankly, than I am with Lightship. Like I looked it up a little bit because I knew we were going to chat about this, but yeah, I'm, not really. I mean, I guess consolidation is something we're seeing across the board with sites. So, is this just a flavor of that consolidation?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's interesting. I mean, they mentioned here that they're going to have like co-CEOs, which I mean. What does that mean? What does that look like?
I feel like anytime I've been a part of right, I feel like anytime I've been part of an organization that has dual executive leadership, it's a challenge because there's a lot of opinions, and I think that will be interesting. But again, I think that's temporary, correct? It seems like they're going to be doing some like additional rebranding and integration efforts.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it sounds like there's going to be a whole new organization, which, I've referred to just as Circuit Ship for now, but I'm sure they'll have a much cooler, researched name with, cool marketing to go along with it.
I was gonna say you could offer your marketing services and, give them Lightship at a premium.
Yeah.
Wait, buy the domain quick, and then.
I mean, only gotten me into trouble in the past. Although not the worst idea.
Uh-huh.
I love that. So yeah, I'm curious to see what happens. Obviously, we know that like consolidation across the site space has been on an uptick. I still get a lot of cold emails that are like, "We're a group that just bought some sites. Talk to us about what the site consolidation landscape looks like." So it still seems like something that's on the rise. I don't know. We've talked about this before. Like, I don't know. Do you see a world where it like ultimately makes sense? If you look, and don't quote me exactly, you can go look, but between Circuit and Lightship, there's like what, 100 million invested in these two companies.
And they both recently, not recently, but in the past couple of years have taken down significant like funding rounds. There's
so is there
in theory lots of money behind this.
Yeah. But is there? I assume that like, whoever invested that money wants to make a lot of money. Are we going to see that like happen across the site space? Because look, site work is hard, and it's not. My contention is that it's not particularly scalable, like per se, at least not right now. Maybe AI changes that, and you only need one coordinator to run 1,000 trials. I don't know. And maybe we get fully decentralized, and these things make perfect sense, and I look like an idiot.
I honestly, I probably tend to agree. I kind of think about sites, and maybe I'm ignorant here, but they have a floor and a ceiling. Like there's only so low you can cut back. Like you still need people, you need the physical space. Like you can only centralize so much. Like you're delivering care, and I research as a care option. I'm not getting into that. Like that's not what I'm talking about.
You want to get into that?
No, because I agree. I do generally tend to agree with you on this, but like you're getting into delivery of a therapy or a treatment or delivery of something to a patient. You're interacting with the patient. Like you have to have people together doing the thing. And like, yes, you can centralize some functions. I just don't know, like there's a floor for what you can actually centralize and like cut down to. Like you're going to hit a place you can't keep digging. It's just not going to work. And then there's a ceiling on like where the price is and what you can get from it. So I think it's an interesting space for investments to be in. I don't know if it's, in healthcare in general, you could say the same thing, right? Like there tends to be a floor and a ceiling that's going to prohibit that like hockey stick growth you're looking for.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. And again, it's interesting nonetheless. It sounds they're not dissimilar in what they do already. So we'll kind of see. I know that Circuit's got ties to like metadata and LabCorp, I think. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And I'm sure we'll see more of this. Have we seen anybody flip these things yet at this point? Really? Not that I've seen publicly.
No, not really. And I think I think also generally, and this wouldn't just be sites, this is just sort of in general, but if you go through like any type of merger, especially a merger compared to an acquisition, right? Like what the integration efforts, like who gets to decide what, and like what culturally stays and what processes stay and what people stay. And so like that becomes like, where are there redundancies and where can you streamline things, and who wins can be really difficult, especially in a merger where you have people are merging, they're equal, right? Like no one's acquiring someone else and saying, you're now doing this. I think that generally tends to be particularly challenging across any M&A activity.
Sure.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we will. And I think it'll be interesting. Go look. If you're bored, go look at Glassdoor. Go look at each of these two companies. Not that that's necessarily representative of the companies as a whole, but very different. The reviews are very different between the two companies, let's say. So again, that's interesting. I'll be curious to see what happens.
Interest.
Well, you can look it up. I'm not gonna go too deep.
Not gonna air dirty laundry.
I'd love to do that, but I'm not going So yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, nonetheless, something interesting that I'd heard about a little bit towards the end of last week, and I guess it was announced. Was it just yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yeah, cool. So we'll see
what happens. Story. You scooped them.
Well, I'm basically a journalist. Shout out Dan Shell, who's maybe more of a real journalist, but I'm coming for you, Dan. Or break the stories before you. I want to be like the Shams of clinical research. You know, the guy who breaks all the MBA news on Twitter before everybody else.
Yeah, there you go. It's a new goal.
It's me. Cool. All right. Well, anything else interesting about that?
No, I mean, I just think it's going to be interesting to see, because I think to your point, right? Like, have we seen anyone flip these? I'm not sure that that's in the cards for what they're going to be looking for from a return. And so I think we're probably going to see more and more of this, where you're seeing companies who've taken down funding that are going to start to change their portfolio to show growth, or for folks to be able to exit in these more like merger and acquisition scenarios than someone really doing like a full-on like big flip investment series raise. But
yeah, I could see that. And I think, inherently, I know as somebody who works with doctors and sites, like it looks impressive if you've got a whole bunch of sites signed and you've got a whole bunch of studies signed, but you can still not be doing particularly well. It looks good in press releases. I'm not saying this is the case here. I've seen this too with like other sites who have sold, who I feel like it's like really inflated based off of projections that are just simply look good on paper, but like really, unless you can, I hate to use the word operationalize, but I'm going to, but like, and make it happen, like it's really nothing. And there's a company early on when I started who wanted to buy me out. Like, we've signed 40 doctors and we have whatever, 100 studies lined up and ready to go. I'm like, cool. How many patients do you have? And they, well, no, none. We haven't enrolled any patients and we don't really know how to. That's why I want help. And I was like, well, hey man, that's the only thing that matters.
So, and this is where, I mean, I think this was at SOS. There was a panel about talking about like investment, right? And there was someone from VCPE, I don't know which, who came and was like, we want like predictable and scalable revenue models. And like, sure, anyone can make anything up where you put in to say, this is what our projections are. And you can use, what's the thing? Like, you can make statistics, say anything you want.
Sure.
Like, you can come up with a statistic for damn near anything. So like, yeah, sure, you could say we have this many doctors and this many trials lined up, and this is what our estimate enrollment is that we gave the sponsor when we did feasibility. And so that tracks to like, this is our budget. And so you can plot it out, but like, that means jack shit until you actually do the thing.
It's not realized, yeah.
And I think there's a lot of industries that it can be more predictable. You have, ARR revenue, which is annually recurring, which you can plot. You're going to get invoices, and you can sort of plot that a little bit more stably.
Yeah, we don't really.
But like, this isn't that, and so I think like people have applied a model that worked in one space to this. People are like, yeah, I'll give you some numbers. They put the numbers in, they got lots of money down, and then now it's not being realized how we said it was because we didn't know. So now we're doing all of this type of stuff where we're integrating and we're merging and we're cutting workforces and we're doing these things to show that we're doing something with the money, but because we based it on a model that fundamentally doesn't fit the industry space.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think I'm just going to sign as many studies as possible and commit to as many patients as I can in a contract, and then your valuation will be high, and maybe I can get sold and go fishing on my boat.
There you go. You got a plan set up. You're good. Done.
Well, I think you're also seeing into it. It hints, I don't know if it's hints is the right word. It outright talks about like Circuit's MD pre-screen service, which, I mean, I feel like sites are getting into like patient referral business, like, which seems, I mean, if you're a site, like, you're finding referrals and recruiting patients yourself, but to have a separate offering is sort of interesting to me. As a site, right? Like, I don't know what that says about the site space.
I'd say two things. One is being pessimistic and one is not. One is that you have access to the patients. You have the ability to expand access to research. And so, sure, yeah, do it.
Of course, sure.
Makes total sense. The other one would be you're trying to find ways to diversify because other areas are not popping off.
I guess it can be both.
Or it could be both. Yeah, absolutely. So I know it's interesting to see. I wonder if, like, I mean, we kind of saw this when we talked to Tyler at Science 37, right? Like how they did some soiree into tech and then eventually we're like, nah, we're going to circle back. We are going to be a site, right? Like, and sometimes it works and some people spin those off as totally separate companies and they do really well. And sometimes it doesn't. I just think it's an interesting.
And I understand like that inclination being at the site level because you see all the things that suck, that are broken. And you're like, oh, we should build a CTMS. We should start an IRB. We should start a patient referral.
These are all ideas I've heard you talk about. So.
I know. Luckily I'm too lazy to pursue any of them. So
okay. So, but it's like you go and you eat at a restaurant and you can be like, this was shitty food. I don't like it. It's bad.
I'm going to open a restaurant.
I'm going to open a restaurant.
Yeah.
And you could even be like a great chef and be like, I'm awesome at cooking. Doesn't mean you should open a restaurant because there's the business side of things, the service side of things, all of it. Like you can even know this thing particularly well and still not know how to run a business around it. Those are two separate things.
They sure are.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's jump over to Reddit, always full of
that's a course
fun stuff. Yeah, because why not? And so I find this like particularly.
There you go.
I'm getting there. Settle down. All right. I found this conversation to just be, I don't know, struck me, made me giggle a little bit. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's essentially someone posting about their girlfriend who's a research coordinator who's been taking, NIH stroke scale and modified Rankin scale trainings for their sub-Is and PIs. Kind of asking like some industry people, in the subreddit, is this normal? Like, what's the deal? Is this cool? And it's just, I think, funny to see. So first of all, let me say this. This is like one of those things that, I've been at places, I've seen places, I've talked to coordinators who are like, this is the norm. And I don't like blow anything up here, but like, seen it happen. Sponsors, I don't think people understand, like sponsors are asking PIs to do hours and hours of training. And sometimes this training is a part of what they already do in their everyday practice. Like if they're doing a stroke scale, they're probably a neurologist. They probably know how to do that NIH stroke scale.
Probably.
But, I've had to do those trainings myself back when I worked in neurology and I was able to do some of those scales. And I can tell you, like having to watch 12 videos and score them and get every single answer correct is, challenging and time consuming. So I'm not shocked that this thing happens. I'm sort of, and again, you can see the sort of, I don't know, dichotomy in the answers. So the people are like, yeah, we know this happens. And then people being like, no, this is absolutely, falsification of records, which I guess they're both true, right? It's just fascinating to me to see it like talked about publicly. Again, I think it's the thing that some sites know kind of happens at different sites. I don't know. I found it extremely interesting. So, definitely check it out. And I think this is like, one of the most practical answers, even though it's not right. Like, is it okay according to rules? No. Do a lot of sites do it? Yeah, because there's really no way for anyone to know. And frankly, coordinators, we've talked about this before too, but like coordinators in a tough spot. First of all, you're normally not paid particularly well. You've got a sponsor yelling at you to get something done, or CRA. Your PI is like, I'm practicing doctor. Like, what do you want? You want me to sit down for 6 hours and do all these trainings? And so,
right. You're not paying them for it, at least at the rate that they're getting paid.
No. And, if you're getting some study startup, that's one thing, but like, that's never accounting for all the work that goes into these things. And then think about how doctors work clinically. They've got a scribe, they've got a nurse, they've got people doing stuff for them.
Right.
And so like research, and I've had to sit down and like have this conversation with doctors. It's so different from like normal clinical practice. That can be hard. And, then you stand back and you look at the fact that we don't have enough doctors doing research. I don't know. It paints a sort of bleak picture, right? Like, hey man, there's not enough people doing research, but do all this extra work.
We're going to make it really difficult for you to do research.
Right.
Well, and then you're also not accepting research naive physicians. And so ideally you're doing this with physicians who've done a lot of research before. So they've probably done a lot of this training before. So it probably feels pretty fucking redundant.
Well, and probably they didn't do a lot of the training. Probably someone did a lot of the training for them.
Fair. Do you think this is different based on site type? Like, so for example, you're an integrated network into existing practices versus independent sites who employ their own PIs versus AMCs. Do you think this is varied, or do you think this is universal across site types?
I don't know. I bet it's well, and I want to say that my assumption would be that like academics would be less likely to do this simply because they oftentimes have dedicated research time.
Yeah.
And so, otherwise, if you're a doctor in a system and you got RVUs to hit, like you're not like, cool, let me just take half a day to do training. No,
yeah, you're doing this at night.
You're gonna get in trouble. Yeah, or yes, you're doing it on your off time. And again, in which case you're likely either not being compensated at all or being compensated much less than you should be. Now, that being said, I can still think of examples at academic institutions where it's happened as well. So I don't know. I would say it's I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's like an ugly secret that happens more often than people want to admit. And it's just interesting. It's interesting.
Do you think this is restricted to like training, or are there other elements that you think are being fudged?
Oh, I would say by and large, like that might be the worst of it, so to speak. Like, it depends. I think a lot too. I think a lot of the doctors who've been doing this for a long time aren't doing as much themselves, and look, there's a real fine line. Like, we've definitely, I've done this personally. I mean, help a doctor sign off in an EDC. So you're like sitting down with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you might as well be doing it yourself, but you're there with them, walking them through it.
Mm-hmm.
Do they know what they're doing?
But they clicked the button.
They clicked the button. They clicked the button that I pointed at. Are they reviewing it? Are they making sure it's complete and accurate? I don't know. Now, again, I don't think that there's like a widespread issue with falsification of records or, fraud or anything like that in research. But I bet this kind of thing, like getting trainings done and stuff, happens more regularly than people probably want to know.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I don't know. Again, I found it particularly interesting. I feel like these are conversations I've had privately, but you don't see it talked about a lot.
Well, because technically you shouldn't be doing it, so people don't want to talk about it.
But yeah, go read the thread. It's interesting. People talking about being asked to do GCP training, protocol training, sign-offs, and it's pretty wild. But I do think that we do need to figure out how to make it easier for doctors to do this stuff. I don't know what that means, or accept that like it's going to be a extremely small subsection like of doctors who are going to be willing and able to do it. We can't have it both ways though. It can't be like we're going to create this really hard thing that doesn't pay well, but why aren't there more people doing it? What's going on?
I mean, and there's two ways you fix this, right? Like one, I think has been the approach that most folks have taken is like you build systems to make this easier, right? Like you build technology to help with it. Have we seen this adjust from like the process side of things to say, hey, maybe we should really think critically about what we're requiring people to do as part of the protocol? As opposed to like, instead of just saying, hey, we're gonna keep all of this and try to cram it into a system that streamlines it, makes it more efficient, what have you, versus saying like, hey, maybe we need to just critically think about like this, what we're telling people to do.
I don't think so. Not with any like, not substantially anyway, not enough. I mean, it's like everything else we do. It's like you need to overdo it. Like because of the risk, let's do more than we need to do. Never less. I mean, obviously never less, but never even just the right amount. It's like, let's do more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know that that'll change. And I mean, I get it. And the more I talk to people, the more like, more we interview people, the more we talk to people, the more I like hear and see, like I understand the reasoning behind it. So call me skeptical. I don't see it changing dramatically.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame.
Well, we'll see. Again, yeah.
Maybe someone will fix it. Someone listening will fix it.
Yeah, that's right. So I expect someone to send us a LinkedIn message 5 years from now and say, I saw this problem you guys brought up and I fixed it.
June 2030, everyone will have the Viva CTMS. It'll be great.
No, don't start plugging Viva on this show. God damn it. Viva sent a mole to be on this show. That's what happened.
Yep, that's what happened. Super secret. I'm super good at it.
You win this time, Viva. Cool. Anything else exciting?
No,
you guys, I haven't been lazy, but later this week we'll have on.
We are going to have Darshan and Edie on to talk all things legal and compliance and regulatory, and I'm sure you'll get into an argument about price fixing.
There's nothing I love better than talking to two attorneys at the same time. And we'll see if I can get a word in edgewise. Okay. So
we'll see what we can do.
All right. Well, cool. Another one in the books.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Check you later this week.
Thanks, guys. Go subscribe on YouTube or don't. And see you guys later on. Thanks for listening to Note to File. We're committed to continuing to bring you independent and unfiltered coverage of the clinical trial industry.
We want to talk about what you want to hear. So if you have something on your mind, hit us up at notetofilepodcast.com.